Welcome, everyone. We're on John Baxter Live. I got an exciting show that you don't want to miss today. I've got Dr. Greg Carter showing up live, talking about amazing technologies and how we got here. Dr. Greg is a founder of Anti-Aging Bed. He was there at the very beginning, and it's going to be exciting to have him on this show. We have a very comfortable level of communication. So stick around. We're going to get into the nitty gritty, couple of the topics. Bridges to immortality. Again, I said that bridges to immortality, how we got here as a company, and what the future holds. So we'll get right with Dr. Greg here momentarily. But for right now, let's cover an intro. Thank you to Anti-Aging Bed, our sponsor. Thank you to PPN Network for broadcasting this live, uncensored broadcast to you at home. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining and checking us out. We've got a lot of great interviews that are happening. We're presenting information that very little people, just a small amount of people know about, but we're getting the message out. So thank you guys for joining the show today. And we've got all types of topics that we can cover. Before we get Dr. Greg on, there's been a lot of talk about the voting and the ballot boxes and the voting machines not tallying the right results. So here we go again. We brought it up on our last show. Even the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania had verified that the mail-in ballots are not going to be counted. So what does that tell you? Very much so that there is this corruption going on in the voting machines due to that finding from the Supreme Court. So what's this show about? It's about Anti-Aging Bed. It's about John Baxter. It's about technologies of the future and getting the message out and showcasing, getting these top-line interviews going on this concept we call anti-aging. Anti-Aging Bed is a product that you can check out at antiagingbed.com. But more importantly, what we've created is a philosophy. And we're going to talk to one of the founders today, Dr. Greg Carter. So let me go ahead and get Dr. Greg on here, and we'll see what the show holds.
Good afternoon, John. Carter.
How you doing, sir?
Everyone. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, so Dr. Greg, I was excited for this show. I wanted to just kick it off by saying, how are you doing and what have you been up to?
Well, thank you. I'm doing very well. And what I've been up to is what we've been up to for the last greater than 10 years. The utilization of functional medicine to slow, to stop, and in some cases reverse the aging process. Now, to a lot of people, that sounds like foo-foo science fiction, but the reality of it is in order for you to understand how to stop, slow, or reverse the aging process, a person must first understand what is aging. And the fact of the matter is people have different concepts of this word aging, but there is no one clearly defined definition. So when you think about aging, what you want to think about are the metrics or the accepted metrics of aging, because aging is much more than just a measure of the passage of time. Aging is a measure of the amount of disease, dysfunction, and degradation that this meat sack, this human robot, this flesh robot that we call a body, is undergoing on a daily basis. And the velocity with which we can damage, destroy, or cause otherwise harm to our meat robot is modifiable in terms of velocity. Just imagine that you have twin brothers, and one twin brother leads a raw food, organic, healthy living lifestyle. He engages in regular exercise, relaxation techniques, deep breathing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the other guy just eats McDonald's and slugs down cherry Cokes all day. If you allow 10 years to pass, over that arc of that 10 years, incrementally, And on a day-to-day basis, a person might not notice significant change. However, in culmination or in conglomeration at the end of that 10 years, one twin brother who is genetically a clone of the other will appear much younger, more youthful, more vibrant, and the other one will appear much older, more decayed, more broken down. What that means, boys and girls, is that the velocity of the aging process, meaning the destruction of the human organism, is modifiable through external factors. Now, if we can speed up the rate with which a person ages, in other words, breaks down, then by extension, it stands to reason that we must be able to identify what are the factors speeding up aging and what are the factors that can slow, stop, and in some cases reverse aging. And in the 21st century, we have done exactly that. So it isn't some far-flung science fiction, foo-foo nonsense. We know that things like Coca-Cola, things like McDonald's, things like my favorite Doritos and Mountain Dew are going to make the human body age or fall to pieces literally faster.
Well,
So,
Dr. Greg, here, we covered some of the stuff that we'll talk about today. I
mhm,
wanted to just bring it back full circle. Let's talk about our history here
mhm.
and how this organization that started from concept to worldwide global movement, right? How did that all start? I mean, some people know our story, but a lot of our listeners don't know the finer details of what appears to be just two free citizens here in the U.S. randomly meeting at a bar and going out and sticking to the path, the fundamentals of the stuff you'll talk about today as the lead doctor on the team and scientist. You know, um, let's talk about some of the highlights of how this all came to be.
Well, thanks, John. I mean, for those of you who don't know, John and I are not just business partners; we're buddies. We hang out in social situations, and we began as friends before we became business partners. And like John said, we, like a lot of fellas, we met in a bar through a mutual friend who is an attorney, and people become drinking buddies. This is pretty much how it happened way, way back in the day. Over the arc of time, John had lamented to me that he was experiencing intractable neck pain as a result of a neck fracture that he had suffered during a sporting injury earlier in his life, and further lamented that the standard of care, arc of care that he received had disappointed him. He was still experiencing chronic pain, he was still experiencing loss of function, decreased range of motion, his quality of life was diminished, and arrogantly and with a tsunami of hubris, I told John that the reason that all of that was true is because I am not the one that had treated him, and that if he would just subject himself to my care and the functional medicine techniques, tips, tools, techniques, and strategies, that I knew that I would get him better. I
Yeah,
mean,
and it worked, guys. Dr. Greg, the
yeah,
foundation of what we have here and what he's been working on sets the precipice for the whole company. The idea that you yourself have freedom to make choice, and the foundation of it very much so is basically your functional medicine, right side
right.
of where you started. I was
So,
unaware of this. I was just a citizen with 10 years of chronic pain, pins and needles in my hands. And Dr. Greg had not only does he come from a family of physicians, he's well amongst his peers. He's well known, and bringing concepts that were new into something that was uh, somewhat old as a practice in the holistic side, functional medicine side. Guys, I'm telling people I healed myself. Um, my body did heal itself, but the philosophies, the technology, the understanding is what people in need at home. Um, and we go through the history, Dr. Greg, and we talked about we did get patents, we did get U.S. approved patents, and it was a long process. It took us almost 6 or 7 years to even get the product out to be even at a level to be sold.
Right.
Then everyone thought we were crazy, and it took another couple years after that just to make sure that people understood what the hell we had and how it was. We were screaming that we changed the world over a decade ago, but it took almost a whole decade to get it to where we wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, for the listening audience, you have to understand that my contribution to the anti-aging bed was scientific and conceptual in nature, and that pulling the science out of the ether and together us putting it into a patent, but then John's knowledge of mattress uh, bedding and textile industry was what allowed us to turn this thing from concept into brick and mortar reality. And so it was definitely a collaborative process. And I don't think that either of us in isolation could have pulled it off. But by working together, we've been able to be kind of a magical team and bring science and sound business practices together to create the anti-aging bed. One of the things the listener should think about is what the hell is functional medicine and how is it different from medicine? Well, regular medicine, which is great here in the United States, is not designed to keep you healthy. I know that's a controversial statement, but it has nothing to do with your health. Regular medicine is designed to deal with catastrophic illness, injury, disease, death, dismemberment, destruction, and ultimately its core value, its purpose is to keep a patient just above dead. Now, once you've achieved just above dead, regular medicine or allopathic medicine has met their fiduciary responsibility to you and they're clocked out. They're going to lunch. I want to feel better. I want to have a better experience in life. I want to experience optimal physical, mental, and emotional well being. Those are all elective choices, meaning you, the person, the individual, have to take it upon yourself to claim your health freedom rights and make choices based on your own discretionary decision and your discretionary income to select tips, tools, and techniques that are designed to take a person from that just above dead threshold all the way up to I'm feeling better, I'm feeling more optimal, I'm feeling more energy, I experience life
Quick
at a much
question.
higher quality.
Quick question, Dr. Greg. You've been practicing for a couple decades now or
Yeah.
more. What do you see as the catalyst in someone's health recovery, right? Most people, it appears, do not listen. And I feel like I was a guy listening to every word because I had no option. Is there a catalyst that you typically see when discipline or something when someone actually has an amazing result?
Yeah, absolutely. The first catalyst is that you have to believe that you deserve to get better. I mean, over the course of the last greater than 2 decades, I have been astounded at how many tens of thousands of patients believe that they uh, don't deserve a beautiful experience in life, that they are somehow shackled to this miserable uh, diagnoses that they've received. And the second catalyst is that you have to have a willingness to go out and try new things. Okay. General Ferdinand Fox said it best: the first condition of victory is the will to conquer. And until you, the individual, are ready, able, and willing to look your challenges in the face and to identify the challenges and then to seek viable solution like the anti-aging bed, then they're not gonna make a move. People who seek out functional medicine in general and the anti-aging bed specifically typically tend to be self-actualizing individuals who have either a higher college education or a higher business success. They're more independent, they're more entrepreneurial, They're more self-motivated. They're self-starters. They're not waiting around for somebody in a white lab coat to tell them what pill, potion, or powder to take to feel better. They go into the internet and, right or wrong, do your own research and come up to your own conclusions. Now, when a person is able to find the anti-aging bed and learn about the components of the anti-aging bed, okay, and for all your own reasons, determine that this is right for you, now you're kind of taking matters into your own hands, right? Um, so I
Yeah, a
think,
lot of times we hear holistic, or the word holistic, and I learned this word from you, but holistic means many different things. You know, there's anti-aging, there's biohacking, but there's a term we used to use back in the day where, just eating healthy. We called people that were what appeared to be super healthy, and a lot of people that are holistic are spiritual. But we used to use a word called weeds, beads, and seeds, right? And we recognize that as people that were almost like hippies that were into health. They were eating organic and stuff like that, and it seems that that trend wasn't really giving anyone any solidified evidence or information. It appeared it grew into something that's kind of split between a biohacker and someone that's just into holistic medicine, and then even further broken down into the weeds, beads, and seeds crowd. And this crowd, as it goes on, then there's anti-aging, biohacking first, then anti-aging, and then into this future of medicine. And as one of the primary guys, like the true biohackers, if you look at history, you see you and Dr. Mike Van Phelan, who has, I think, 8 books now, talking about the revolutionary ways that you can help heal yourself over 10 years ago. Biohacking was started on some coffee, right? You guys were offering sound information, how to eat properly, the user manual for health back in like 2011 or something, 12. And so you have this wealth of knowledge a decade or two before most people in most doctors in the US, right? And you came from the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And I wanted to cover, right, the history of how I know it's a crazy word, and I'll let you define it, immortality, but there's transitions, there's stages, there's evolution in our health technology, there's evolution in understanding. And one of the most amazing things I've ever heard about where we're at, where we're going, came from you about this thing called the bridges to immortality. Can you go over that definition and go through what the hell that is?
yeah, and before the listener tunes out because immortality sounds impossible, I assure you that it's not, and the science supports that man will achieve de facto immortality by 2045, and I can defend that. Before we go into that, a person should understand that when you use the term holistic, as John elucidated, yeah, it doesn't, like he said, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't have any kind of well-defined, cohesive um, arc or association
Science.
or pillars. It's just all feel-good nonsense, and that's why hippie, dippy, uh, nonsensical people kind of gravitate towards that. But as an artifact of the frustration that people were finding as they were seeking complementary alternative strategies, a group of people called biohackers started saying to themselves, well, how can we do this with evidence? How can we look at the body from an information technology standpoint? And once we started looking at the body from an information technology standpoint, we started to be able to measure things and apply metrics. And that's what biohacking is. It is the application of measurable metrics from a foundational standpoint, and then apply a solution, and then see the percentage improvement from baseline. Okay, now biology up until 1998 was a analog technology. Analog means it moves one step at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in an analog paradigm, when you get to step 30, you're at step 30. But once something becomes an information technology like this laptop or your cell phone, then it moves in an exponential fashion, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, um, over 100. By the time you get to step 30, you're at a billion. Okay, so when we decoded the human genome in 1998, that's when biology ceased being this analog technology and began becoming an information technology. Now, the really interesting thing about any information technology is our knowledge of it and our ability to deploy it doubles every unit of time. And in the 20th century, or the end of the 20th century, that unit of time was every year. In the first decade of the 21st century, that unit was every 10 months. And in this decade, it's every 8 months. And so that ability every unit of time to double our knowledge is increasing every year itself at an exponential rate. So what you find is that um, science has now elucidated 4 bridges to eternal life, and it's all based on information technology. So bridge number 1, which I used to kind of blow off, is changing what you eat, changing what you drink, and getting more sleep. And I used to leave it at that because what more is there to say? But that was in the first decade of the century. In the second decade, right now in 2022, or the third, entering into the third, I should say, we're discovering that there are environmental toxins, whether by design or by accident, placed in our food supply. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, um, endocrine disruptors, things that absolutely destroy your body, not to mention genetically modified organisms that your body simply cannot read them. Your body's nothing more than a computer, and its operating system is called DNA, and it's got 23,000 computer programs on it called genes, and it creates machines inside of you to do, among other things, read the DNA of what you're sticking in your mouth. So if you get an heirloom tomato, your body can read that computer program and utilize that information to rebuild you, which is the purpose of food anyway. Okay. You get some genetically modified Franken food, or you get something that's not even food at all, like Wonder Bread or Pop Tarts, or my
Hey,
favorite.
let's say explain the GMO. Is that basically like sticking a vaccine and shooting it in an apple and then eating the apple?
No, it's much worse than that. It's like taking an apple and causing it to look like the world's most perfect apple, bigger, brighter, and more voluptuous, but it's not real because nature doesn't make apples like that. So it's taking an apple and using genetic modification to create the idea of an apple, and your body can't use it, really. Your body can't assimilate it. So the more genetically modified foods that we expose ourselves to, the less our body is able to recognize those GMOs. Okay. The viruses with which you speak are aberrances in the things that they use to grow those GMOs: pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. So um, those send signals to your operating system that your time on this planet has expired. You don't need to be here anymore, so die. That's what that does.
Well, I would say that that's not a good thing. I mean, how can we prevent um, that derogatory effect? We talked about taking taking it into your own hands um, at a level of understanding and application in everyday life to move on up these 4 bridges to immortality. So,
Right. So
um,
to
yep.
that point, what you want to do is you want to alter the things that you eat and alter the things that you drink, but not just change them. The things that you bring home, you need to learn how to process them appropriately, wash off the fungicides, herbicides, and pesticides. Make sure that you're choosing the least amount of genetically modified food. Now, if we were to move past that into bridge number two is the utilization of sound rational medicine that we talked about earlier. That's designed to do what? Help you be healthy? No, no, no. That is not what medicine is here for. Medicine is here to keep you just above dead. The end. Okay? That's the bad news. The good news is you are just above dead. So you have at least some chance to create personal change at an effective level. Okay? So bridge number two is utilization of appropriate medication when indicated, surgery when called for, and underappreciated is the utilization of supplements. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Okay, again, bridge one and bridge two, they're not that sexy, but they've gotten sexier in the 21st century because now we can alter the things that we eat and drink to enhance us and to optimize us. So John and I have this hydrogen water machine here, and it imbues the tissue via the water with hydrogen, which I'm going to oversimplify this, helps to enhance the energy centers of the body. Okay, we can have a whole show on that another time, but by selecting supplements and devices that enhance overall physiologic function, you're engaging in a more effective bridge two. So you're not just changing bridge one, the foods that you eat and the things that you drink, but you're also consciously directing medications and supplements and devices that are designed to enhance your life. Bridge number three is where we start to get kind of exciting. It's where the technology affects the human organism at a supracellular level. A supracellular means the outside of the cell, where the receptors on the cell have little antenna, right, or radar dishes, where they're looking for signals. Hey, it's cold out, shiver. Hey, it's hot out, sweat, right? They're looking for signals, and that signal will cause the DNA in the cell to cause certain genetic presentations to best adapt to the environment that you are facing at that moment. Okay. So when we get to bridge number three, what we're talking about are things that can affect the body at the supracellular level and create effective physiologic change. Now, when you look at the anti-aging bed cover and you look at the three technologies that are embedded in it, the introduction of free radicals from the surface of the earth, the introduction of far infrared energy to stimulate mitochondria, and the utilization of antimicrobial silver to reduce pathogen load. By reducing inflammation, by disassociating free radicals, by increasing cellular respiration through the utilization of far infrared energy, and by reducing pathogen load, you are affecting the body now at a bridge three level. Okay, you're affecting your body at the level of the cells where they're receiving signals. And the signals are going to say one of two things, boys and girls. Keep this show going, or let this person die. Those are the only two signals you're going to get. Keep moving forward or die. So ideally, a person wanting to feel better, wanting to be healthy, is going to select the devices and the choices that are going to allow your cell to make the decision, I want to go on. Okay? The anti-aging bed cover reduces inflammation by disassociating free radicals in the body. It enhances individual cells' respiration by stimulating a specific organelle in the cell called the mitochondria, which you can conceptualize as the power plant of the cell, pushing out a biological fuel called ATP that just allows your body to feel very energetic. Some people can push out more ATP than others. We call them younger people. Okay. But by manipulating the environment that you're in and by exposing your body to beneficial stimuli like the anti-aging bed and the components therein, you can signal the body to be more effective. And the third thing, by reducing the pathogen load through the antimicrobial silver, your immune system, it simply doesn't have to work as hard on bugs coming in. And as a result of that, it's able to focus completely on repair, restoration, and optimization of you. Now, that's all very cool, and that's going to give a person kind of like an optimal existence for the amount of time that you're on the planet. But bridge number 4 is where things get really interesting. Bridge number 4 is when we go past the surface of the cell into the nucleus, we open up the DNA, and we create changes at the level of the DNA that allow this organism to stop, slow down, and in many cases reverse the aging process. So the goal is to get signals to the nucleus of the cell that say, not only do I want to go further along the arc of life, but I want to continue along this arc at the level of, say, a 27-year-old healthy human being. And all that, boys and girls, is possible within your lifetime for most of you. It's literally right around the corner. Time magazine, a little obscure, unknown publication, has done no less than 6 cover articles on this very topic of immortality by 2045. Google has invested $458 billion at last check into the research surrounding anti-aging. And so those kids, they're very serious about it. And so very credible scientists and very credible doctors who recognize that biology is no longer an analog technology moving along like a wheelbarrow. It is now an information technology moving along like the Starship Enterprise at Warp 9, are seeking ways to do exactly what we're discussing: stop, slow, and reverse the aging process. The anti-aging bed cover that John and I created is a bridge 3 technology that sends a signal to your cells to reduce inflammation, to enhance energy production, and to fight off pathogens better. And it does it all passively. You don't have to remember to take a pill, a potion, or a powder. You don't have to go to a special gym. You don't have to buy a special piece of equipment after you have our bed. You have to change your lifestyle at all. All you got to do is come home, get as naked as you can, and have as much of your body touch that sheet as possible for the maximum velocity of antioxidant transfer from the textile itself into your body. And where are these coming from? Where are these electrons coming from? These antioxidants, they're coming from the earth. Okay? And they come through the ground in your home, into the wall, through the wire that is attached to the bed cover, onto the surface of the textile, which has an enormous amount of conductive silver directly into your body. One of the things that, I'm going to use a technical term here, sucked about the previous art before John and I created ours is it did a lot of what we are talking about, but it was frail, it was fragile, it was cheaply made, and it would break easy. I'm a dense man, and I come home tired, and if I collapsed on the old art, I would break the strands because they were cheaply done, and the guy who made that didn't have the benefit of insider knowledge that I have via one John Baxter. So because of John's experience in mattress bedding, textiles, and manufacturing, he was able to find exactly the right seamstress or textile manufacturer to create a flexible, comfortable, breathable, durable fabric that is just a joy to lay on. I will tell you that the previous art was
By the
no
way,
joy.
it's the only patented grounding technology left that's really still patented. The other
So,
stuff, it's patented because it works. It was thought through.
yeah,
The other technology was let go by the wayside because it had no value. The way that they designed it, within 30, 60, typically sometimes 90, but usually within 30, 60 days it wasn't working
no, it
anymore. So
sucked. No, no, I'm gonna ask. I know I'm supposed to be interviewed here, John, but I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay, can you talk to the listening audience about why our textile is superior and discuss the construction of it and why it's breathable, why it's durable, why it's flexible, and why it's comfortable? Because listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't like the thing you're sleeping on, you ain't gonna sleep on it. Okay, you can either just not notice you're on the anti-aging bed cover, or you notice it and you just love it because it's so damn comfortable. Can you talk about that a little bit, John?
yeah, so the the different art that we have in regards to, essentially, past technology versus current technology is that a lot of the issues that were going on were recalled types of items, manufactured defective, right? So, we had to work with a bunch of companies. We had to do a lot of testing, different types of conductive threads, different types of methodology to make it happen, finding the right people, engineers, doctors, even attorneys to help write patents. And there's a skill and an art in writing a patent, but there's also a skill with prior art. In your patent, you have to have prior art. And if there's any prior art, that's there, it could help you, it could hurt you, or even hurt your ability to get a patent. So
Right,
the only time you get awarded a bigger and better patent is if you supersede the technology that was existing, right?
right,
So if you're able to supersede it, you've actually were awarded a patent essentially over the top of another inferior technology. But at
right.
the moment, ours is the first stretchable, breathable, utilizing a real conductor called silver via this stretchable, breathable fabric that as that allows for EMF dissipation at such a level it helps protect your cellular structure. It also has the other features and benefits: far infrared, and not only far infrared but an antimicrobial silver surface.
So,
So
John, could
yeah,
could a person just get the cover and be good?
yeah, I mean, it goes still back to, like you're saying, surface area, but really that's where everyone should start. If you were confused where we're at, we definitely should start at the bed cover because it's where you're sleeping. It's where you're going to get the most benefit, away from, uh, loud, noisy rooms or work environments. You need to get out of your head, into sleep, get into bed in a relaxed and recovered state. Give yourself the necessary sleep that you need so that you can just have a more balanced and enjoyable life. And Dr. Greg, the four bridges to immortality that you talked about were mind blowing. You cut it down, you broke it down into uh, specific segments, four different ways to immortality. But I was going to ask you a question in the current precedent of the state of the world, right? These four different, kind of like stair stepper. It goes up as you move on down. The four levels to immortality is foundational. It's supported by evidence, even timelines of when this body that we have and the current level of science and statistics shows that on a certain year you'll be able to pay for it and have immortality if you like it, right? And I know you are following some inventors as well along this same path. Could you cover some of this? How um, reading, going down the rabbit hole that you were able to understand the four bridges to immortality well over a decade before other doctors started to look into it.
Well, yeah. So, when a person can follow the four bridges to immortality, in order to get to immortality, you have to be alive. And, you want to be alive as an optimal presentation as you can have at the moment, that you're going to be offered an opportunity for enhanced life over a longer arc of time, possibly indefinitely. Now, there are three scientists currently in the world. One of them works at Google, um, who are spearheading immortality by 2045. The least well known, but very well known in the community, is Dr. Aubrey de Grey. He kind of looks like Gandalf. He's got a big long beard and he speaks with a funny European accent and he's hard to understand. And he's a little bit. His presentation and delivery are very good. The content is good, but he's sometimes hard to follow. The next and currently most popular uh, PhD who's pushing immortality is Dr. David Sinclair. Um, and Dr. Sinclair is currently pushing a product called NAD, which enhances neurological function and brain plasticity and brain and neurological preservation for purposes of anti-aging. He's the guy who discovered resveratrol as an antioxidant. And the most important scientist in um, anti-aging or immortality by 2045 is a guy that works at Google. His name is Dr. Ray Kurzweil. Dr. Kurzweil is responsible for just too many inventions to elucidate, but Siri is based on a software program that he created. The guy is just he's probably the smartest guy on the planet. But he showed that when an information becomes when a technology goes from an analog technology to an information technology, its exponential rise in performance and in capacity versus price. So the price drops, but the performance increases. All right, and that is a hallmark of information technology. Now, why is it relevant that the price drops? Because along this bridge to immortality, a lot of people are going to have to become cyborgs. Whoa, what's he talking about? Cyborgs,
AI and cyborgs, right?
humanism. It sounds so scary, and it's mark of the beast. I don't want to do it. You're just not thinking through it. Okay, so let's take a 7-year-old girl, doing what 7-year-old girls do, climbing a tree. She falls out of the tree, bangs her head on a root. She's unconscious. She's in a coma. Bad news. Well, we live in the 21st century. Ambulance comes, picks her up, stabilizer, takes her to the ER. ER doctor saves her life. Good news. Caveat, she's destroyed that part of her brain responsible for hearing. So, what could we do about that 30 years ago? Nothing. Teach that kid sign language and hope that we don't alter her self-esteem too much. Today, we can stick a device in her ear, a little mechanical device called a cochlear implant, which is basically a bionic ear, okay? And there's a little device that sits just outside the ear. It's about the size of a quarter, a little bit thicker than 2 quarters. It's very noticeable, okay? But she can hear now, okay? She is a cyborg. She's a cyborg, okay? Is she less human than you and I because her hearing apparatus is mechanical instead of biological? You really want to make that claim? Now, the reason that information technology is relevant is because that bionic ear is going to increase in performance and in capacity. It's going to double every unit at a time, currently every 8 months. The price is going to drop while the performance is increasing. And that technology is going to shrink 100% in three-dimensional volume every decade. So by the time the 17-year-old girl is 17 and she's ready to go to the prom, that thing will be the size of a postage stamp and be nearly invisible. But it'll work exponentially better. She'll probably have better hearing than she would have had biologically. She might even be able to hear conversations across the room that she wouldn't otherwise be able to hear. Okay? You take a guy with Parkinson's disease, that part of his brain that is responsible for stability has been destroyed. He's shaking all over the place. He can't control himself, can't even sign his name. I've got Parkinson's patients, man. It's horrible. It's horrible. And you can see the pain and the anguish on the patient's face and the frustration that they cannot control their robot. Okay, what could we do about that 30 years ago? Nothing. Okay, today we can stick a computer chip the size of a pea inside that guy's brain, replace that part of his brain that was destroyed by Parkinson's. Instantly, he's better. He's normal. But he is a cyborg. He is a transhuman. And
So
because
I'm mixed on this topic, Dr. G, and you know that already. I mean, the thing is, anything can be bad, right? You said it before, too much water and you're drowning, right? But
exactly,
there's two extremes, right? And it doesn't matter which direction you want to go. If you are the freedom fighter, don't mess with me government, right? Yeah, maybe you don't want a government AI. You want an AI that's a non-government entity, right? That solves the problem that you may be thinking about transhumanism or AI. But yeah, if it's a government mandate AI, that's a little bit different, right? It's designed for other stuff, right? But what we're talking about here is transhumanism and AI. In a matter of fact, that most of us have had an issue. Maybe there's a screw in a bone, right? That's AI, or that's a transhumanism in a sense. A cochlear implant is an electrical device, so that's definitely a transhumanism situation. Heart stents, pacemakers, that's trans. You're a transhuman if you have one of those. So in that sense, transhumanism, is basically assisting the body and the mind and health in a scientific situation. On
yes,
the flip side of that, the spiritual side, whether it's the mark of the beast, the AI, and the transhumanism, you need to get somewhat of a grip. There's two extremes. Yes, no one wants a government big brother hand me down AI or transhumanist program. What we're talking about is that technology can be used good or bad, and that this is something that people really need to just wake up on, because I have this conversation all the time. Yes, good technology in the wrong hands can turn evil. Bad technology in the good hands can turn well. So let's skip through that in regards to that, because I'm not sure if everyone's ready for even that conversation, just because we had to debrief them on kind of what it is. So that topic right there may not help a lot of listeners, but what we're realizing is anti-aging, the product and the patents, it appears to be a third level bridge that brings us into the fourth level of immortality. So people like Dave Asprey claims he's going to live 180, 90 years old without even
very
blinking.
realistic.
Yeah, so it's depending on the time and depending on the year, depending on the level of technological advancement that we have. Literally anything is possible, but as kind of I kind of see it as out of the new age technologies of the future. Really, the big splash has been the anti-aging bed. No one's got something that's in the level of electrical medicine, right, or electrical health technologies. Using the electrical body to ground is a foundational piece, I believe, for everything else. and that grounding technology has health benefits, easily increases the environmental, what would you say, uh, surrounding your body in a technology that's giving its your cells some benefits.
Yeah,
Um,
it's giving your cells benefit. I mean, look, let's say you didn't want to live forever, but you want to live each moment of your life at a higher quality of life. Well, what are the biological components of that? And biological components of it would be the reduction of inflammation or of abnormal inflammation, because some inflammation is necessary some of the time, right? But in order to reduce inflammation, we have to ask what is causing inflammation. It's usually something called a free radical. That's just a particle of the body missing an electron. Well, how can we get it an electron? If you're not eating 5 pounds of leafy green vegetables, which nobody is, then you take supplements. But you can't take enough supplements to disassociate all the free radicals that are being formed by the Wi-Fi, the EMF, the environmental pollutants, the toxins, and the tsunami of attacks that you're facing. When a person can lie on the anti-aging bed, you're not changing anything in your life. You're doing what you're going to do anyway. You're getting on your bed, you're going to sleep. You can enjoy the absorption of billions upon billions upon billions, near infinitude amount of mechanical antioxidants called electrons from the surface of the earth through the ground in your home into the wiring of your walls, through the into our device and into you. Okay, it's just free energy. It's basically free energy. So it's a Tesla technology if there ever was one, because energy flows from an area of higher potential to an area of lower potential. So you're a lower potential when you're damaged, and the earth is a higher potential, and so you're going to equalize. And once you hit equilibrium, then the electron flow is going to stop. So you can't get too much of a good thing, right? In this case, um, it is a beautiful and elegant solution to a beautiful and elegant set of solutions that we call technology, that themselves are double-edged swords in that they release harmful ionizing radiation that have negative and deleterious effects on the human organism. I am not giving up my Wi-Fi. I'm not giving up my 5G phone. I'm not giving up my ability to go to Whole Foods. Okay? So you better learn how to deal with the toxins of the 21st century. Like,
Dr. Greg, you have a history, like I was talking about the foundation of the company, laying down a platform so that people like me and everyone else could understand a better platform than the platform that we were given to without even asking questions. We assumed that our elders were right, and whatever they gave us was the system. You've been able to, with Dr. Mike Van Thielen, at an early age, decade or 2 decades prior to most people out there's understanding. What would you say, um, in regards to how you got there? Is there any inventors, any doctors, any good books to read that can get someone up to speed with kind of where you're at? Because you're speaking both layman's terms and sophisticated medical uh, terminology. Yet, from someone at home that wants to dive deeper, is there any specific motivational books, any science, any inventors, any of these types of things that people could look into?
Dr. David Sinclair's book, Ageless, is probably a good place to start. Dr. Ray Kurzweil's book, The Singularity is Near, is an excellent book. Um, I'd probably start with those. Um,
What about Joe Dispenza?
Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, in terms of mindset. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. That's actually, it's funny that you should bring that up. I'm reading it right now. My computer was resting on it. So Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, is probably one of the most important books anybody wanting to improve your life condition could read. I don't like the guy that much, but I like his content. His content is superb, and his ability to explain things is just magnificent. So a person
What do
could
you
really
see on in that regards? Throwing out just awesome information. What do you see as threats to humanity or each and every one of us right now? You're seeing a lot of people. You speak to a lot of people. Where do you see this going? And is there any of these threats that people should be aware of, or
the
um,
biggest threat is a person's failure to take personal responsibility for your health and to offload the responsibility for your health to some amorphous governmental third party or a doctor like me in a white lab coat. That is absurd. That is an absurd crime against humanity and against yourself. And you better learn how this machine works. You better learn how to optimize, rest, repair, restore, and optimize your connective tissue, which is you. And you better learn how to get your mindset right by modeling mentors through these books that have already done it. Whether there's a psyop that's designed to get people to give up, or whether it's just an artifact of entertainment, you have to make a conscious decision and have a willingness to modify your terrain on your own. EMF is here to stay. Wi-Fi is here to stay. GMO is here to stay. Pesticides are here to stay. Hormones in food are here to stay. Those aren't all evil things, okay? Those are tools designed to prevent the zombie apocalypse of the 21st century, okay? And we don't have those tools. Foods are going to come out of farms with salmonella and other biological horrors, okay? But all of those technologies designed to keep masses alive have negative and deleterious effects on the human organism on an individual level. You better learn what these effects are and how to mitigate them. And one of the biggest effects is the formation of free radicals, leading to inflammation, leading to the breakdown of connective tissue, which you can so easily, it's almost criminal, mitigate by sleeping on the anti-aging bed. And do I sound biased? Yes, because I am. Because what we invented is awesome, and everybody should have it.
any closing things here? We're gonna try to get you on again. Hopefully, of course, be nice to have you. Any kind of closing things that you want to know? What you're doing, where to find you?
You could find me at the anti-aging bed.
Oh,
Okay. But what I'm doing is what we're doing, which is attempting to get our technology in every bed in America. Okay. You love yourself. You should get our bed cover. You have loved ones that you want to get some for Christmas. You should get them our bed cover. You should give them the gift of enhanced quality of life. Get them our bed cover. Okay. You worry
thank
about
you,
that money.
Dr. Greg. Yeah, that was. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and I'm sure a lot of people will replay this tape, listening to this stuff that's foundational to the understanding of what's going on right now. You can't just jump in the stream and go 100 miles an hour. You have to paddle and work yourself up. Hopefully, today's show you got a lot of this information. We got about a minute and a half left in the show. I wanted to go over one last thing, some advanced technology. We always talk about the foundational technology, the bed cover, and people don't really realize it that this is upon us. Albert Einstein, the future of medicine is frequency medicine, right? We offer frequencies in regards to Tesla plasma. And I'll put this up here right now. And as you can see, the machine here that we have offers frequencies not only in the environment, but connected to the bed cover. And that's why other people were saying that we had something to do with MedBed. which this technology, it kind of closes the gap on what they were talking about MedBed and what is actually really truly available that you can get and purchase today. So we have a special on the Tesla Plasma call-in special. Everyone at home, this is Black Friday month for anti-aging bed, up to 15% off all your purchases. So early birds get the worm. Expect inventory. If you don't catch it too early in the process, it might be delayed, this or that. So check us out, Anti-Aging Bed, and look out for the pre-Black Friday offer. And as far as the show's concerned, we are about ready to shut off here in less than 15 seconds. And I just wanted to thank you guys all. Thank you, Dr. Greg, for being on the show.
Thank you.
And until next time, we are changing some of our times to Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Friday, it's been 10 p.m. We're expected to have our show in the middle of the day going forward. So love you guys. Thank you so much for showing up today. Appreciate it. And until next time, thank you guys.